Take a look at Richard Fuscone, Harvard-educated, a top executive at Merrill Lynch, a man with access to the highest tiers of global financial data. On paper, his financial trajectory was perfectly calculated. Now look at Ronald Read. He spent 25 years pumping gas and another 17 sweeping floors as a school janitor. He lived in a modest house and held his coat together with safety pins. In the 2008 financial crisis, Fuscone lost everything and filed for bankruptcy. A few years later, Ronald Read passed away, leaving behind a secret fortune of over $8 million. How does a man with zero financial training, making a minimum wage salary, thoroughly beat a Wall Street executive armed with the best data in the world? We struggle to understand this because we prioritize mathematical formulas over human psychology. Financial outcomes rely on how well you manage biological impulses, fear, greed, and ego, rather than your ability to solve for X. Our brains expect money to follow a simple, linear rule. Hard work directly leads to financial success. Put in the effort, get the result. But look at Bill Gates in 1968. As a high school student, he attended one of the only schools in the world with a computer. That was a 1 in 300 million stroke of luck. At that time, most top universities and government agencies didn't even have these room-sized machines. Gates's starting position was statistically near impossible. He also had a partner, a kid named Ken Evans, who Gates himself said was equally brilliant and driven. But before they could graduate, Evans died in a mountaineering accident, a 1 in a million risk. Financial outcomes are heavily skewed by invisible forces. Judging someone's financial worth entirely by their final bank balance ignores the massive, chaotic winds of luck and risk that push them there. The second flaw is how we expect money to grow. We want our investments to look like our paychecks, steady and predictable. But true compounding diverges completely, remaining almost entirely flat and invisible until the extreme right end of the timeline. This is how Warren Buffett built his empire. The vast majority of his net worth was generated after his 65th birthday. This relies on a concept called tails you win. In finance, you don't need to be right every single time. You only need a few massive outliers to succeed. Michael Jordan missed over 9,000 shots in his career. We don't judge him on the thousands of misses. We remember the handful of game-winning outliers that defined his legacy. A few huge successes will easily compensate for hundreds of quiet failures. You don't need perfect accuracy. You just need the patience to survive long enough for those outliers to arrive. We naturally assume the mindset that helps you acquire wealth is the exact same mindset you need to protect it. It isn't. Getting wealthy requires extreme risk-taking, breaking rules, and boundless optimism. Staying wealthy requires paranoia, humility, and a deep fear that what you have could disappear tomorrow. Rajat Gupta was an orphaned kid who grew up to become a centimillionaire CEO with unparalleled global respect. Yet he threw his entire legacy away, going to prison for committing insider trading. He fell into a fatal psychological trap. He had $100 million, but he sat in boardrooms next to billionaires. He compared his fortune to theirs and felt inadequate. If you do not establish a hard, personal boundary for what constitutes enough, the psychological hunger for more will eventually destroy everything you have built. This leads to a pervasive social trap known as the man-in-the-car paradox. Imagine a person buys a $100,000 luxury car. They drive it down the street, fully expecting pedestrians to stop, look, and admire the driver behind the wheel. But the pedestrians completely ignore the driver. They look at the machine and use it to imagine themselves sitting in that seat, looking successful to everyone else. We spend fortunes on exotic cars and luxury watches, assuming they will buy us respect from strangers. But the people looking are only using your expensive items to fuel their own fantasies. You are entirely invisible to them. Spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money, and it earns you zero genuine respect. The most powerful form of wealth is the capital left on the sidelines, the assets sitting in bank accounts and investment portfolios that never get exchanged for a physical receipt. Ingvar Kamprad built IKEA and became a billionaire. He drove a 15-year-old Volvo and flew economy. He earned immense global respect through his character and his work, rather than his displays of cash. This unspent wealth acts as a safety net, providing the leverage needed to navigate a volatile, unpredictable world. Every dollar Camprod didn't spend on a display of wealth was another unit of leverage held over his future. When your lifestyle doesn't require constant feeding, you gain a return on investment that no physical object can provide. Total control over your own schedule. Saving money allows you to stop trading your minutes for products and start buying back your own life. It provides the freedom to wake up every morning and do whatever you want.